Introduce you to a really cool chap called Rory Phelan. Every now and again, we get a client from AN that's doing amazing things, and we literally debrief their whole entire journey from zero to hero. So you're going to get to hear Rory's kind of chaos and how he turned it into, well, a kick-ass business that is doing great things. So, Rory, I'm going to share screen here and I'm going to open up with your very famous and infamous workbook that now has your name all over it. Fit in the Authority Network Fitness Entrepreneur Library for many, many years to come. And thousands of coaches are going to get to see it and learn from it. So let's kick the journey off. Give us a quick overview, first of all, of like who you are, where you're from, like what life was like before coming to work with us. Like kind of give us the nitty gritty, the dark side, the money that you were making, the hours that you were working, the life that was essentially destined to, well, destroy you.
Of course, yeah. Hi everyone. I think I've met some of you at the live action days, but my name is Rory. I'm based in London, and basically for the past 11 years, I've been working as a professional actor on stage, on screen, and within that, it's some of you may not know
Uh,
what it's like.
Rory, this isn't your first rodeo. Sorry, I had to throw the joke in.
No worries at all. Within the acting career, there is huge ups, huge downs, and there'd always be kind of like little filler gaps where I'd go back to my other passion, which is training. And I'd always kind of pick up on gym work, PT work, and between contracts, I'd always be on the gym floor and all this different kind of stuff. And then basically, I got approached about 2.5 years ago now to be a success coach for someone else that was inside Power Room. And I thought about it for a while, ended up doing the odd kind of bit of work with them, and just kind of was like, why am I not doing this myself? And I kept being one of those people like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it next week. And there was always some reason I kept putting it off until 10 months ago. I was basically just about to have my third shoulder reconstruction. And I was like, oh, do you know what? Fuck this. Nothing's going to change unless I do it. So the day before my surgery, I came up with the name Stage Strong. I had zero clients. I booked a content day, took a load of painkillers, shot 4 hours worth of content. And that day, the next day from my hospital bed, started the company. And that's kind of been where we are now.
And just give us a little bit of perspective. Money that you're bringing in and how you
Um,
were working.
so as a trainer, I was honestly making probably about 1,500, £2,000 a month. But my actual first month as like an online coach, I made £800.
2K per month on the floor, and then 800 bucks as your first online. All right. So you were an actor in the thick of London, doing gigs. Anytime you had a little dropout, you went to the gym floor. You started to realize that, hey, I'm pretty good at this. You became a success coach. You went off, did it by yourself. You were doing 2K per month on the gym floor with loose PT, random hours, interspersed with acting, and then launched it online at £800 per month with a dislocated shoulder and 4 hours of a content shoot, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. And obviously, like you joined Fitness Entrepreneur
Mhm.
and you've been in here for like what, 11,
10 months.
10 months?
Yeah.
What's life like now? Let's first of all go to, well, first of all, like role, like day to day.
Day to day is wildly different. Ultimately decide like when I work, when I do what I want. And it feels like I'm no longer chasing things. I feel a lot more relaxed. And so that's kind of how the day to day looks. And what's nice is that performing work now, I can really pick and choose the stuff that I really want to do. And so I'm not kind of pressured into taking stuff for a financial income. So it's a lot more relaxing.
So you've got control of your time and you're working with who?
So I only work with actors. They're the only people I train. I'm very specific about that. I won't let anyone outside of that niche come into it.
Cool.
Um,
And what's
yeah.
your price point?
Price point at the moment is 997 up front, 547 for two split pay, 377 for three split pay. And I'm looking to push that up very soon.
What's your back end?
As in kind of what have I made total up to
No, you're
now?
you're back in monthly after your kind of 3 month activation kicks in.
Then it goes to 197 per month.
297.
197.
Okay. So revenue wise, where are we floating at roughly now per month?
Per month now, it's usually about 13 grand a month. Our biggest month was 16K. But July to December last year, we made 35,000. But in the first 2 months, we made £800 and then £1,500 next month. But this year, from January through to now, we've made just over 60K.
Wow. So that's quite a jump when you
Yeah,
look.
it's doubled since our first in-person event.
Yeah, it's crazy. But from £800 per month online to, well, 16K, 13K, there's quite a extreme jump there. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
let's look at this. You've got freedom and control of your time. You escaped the system. You went from 800 bucks a month to 16K per month. Let's look at mindset.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the
Let's
big thing for
go.
mindset for me going through these trainings, I guess the three big things that stood out for me was firstly the fear of money. That was a huge, huge element. Um, I'd always come up with the idea that like I had this limiting belief that I had to have savings, I had to have these rainy day funds. I had this fear of spending money on online coaching and the fear that I wouldn't make it back the next month. And, you know, I was trying to make every resource under the sun and try and do all these different things. But once I started to realize that money's just something that like I'm basically trading for a service for something. It didn't become such a fear anymore. Um, I mean, to be completely honest, up until December last year, because I was so still fearful of money and I'd hit this point where I couldn't get over kind of 7K months, I was still working in gyms and only using that money, and I wouldn't spend a penny that was bought in from the online, just because I was scared that it would someday end or run out and have that fear. And as soon as I kind of got rid of that, it's completely changed.
So, what would you say to somebody else that's thinking that right now? They're afraid of losing money. They're afraid of spending money. They're hoarding all their stuff. What would you say?
Just spend it. Money will literally come again. It's one of those things that unless you try it, you're not going to know. And it's very easy as a coach, especially when you're online, to stare at your laptop for 8, 9 hours a day and just expect that that's hard work and it's going to pay off. If there's someone better than you at one of the jobs that you don't enjoy, hire them, get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, fear of money. What else?
um, I think actually believing in your product. And what I mean by that is for me, I was so stuck on my clients' results, whether they were winning, whether they were losing. Every kind of win or loss, I take so personally. And we have all had clients where, they're not getting the desired results they want. Maybe they're not putting in the same amount of work. And I would be up all night just going, oh God, why aren't they winning? And then in the same way, when they started winning, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm the best coach in the world. And what it came down to, so I remember speaking to Lee before, he was like, you've got to separate yourself from that. You deliver your product. And I think that if you're truthful about what your why is and why you built the business, then everything starts to fall into place. If you stay passionate and stay true to the actual mission behind why you started, it all becomes easier as opposed to going, oh, why isn't John suddenly like lifting heavier and dropping loads of weight? It's not about that. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So as long as you're giving out the best product and the best thing which you believe in and you know that works, that's all you can do. And they all kind of start to fall into a domino effect with that.
What was the why behind your business?
The why for me is the truthful thing is that I work within show business and it can be all glitz and glam and it looks amazing when you're on stage and there's audiences and stuff, but there's a huge downside that so many performers don't have structure. They come across confident, but if you come with a knife, they are the least confident people in the room. And so for me it was about finding true confidence away from work, because that correlates to when you walk into an audition room having that actual energy that people are like, fuck, that person means business, like I can trust them with the role.
What was your most difficult time in business and how did you overcome it?
Most difficult time in business was October of last year. We'd been going for some time, like then a couple of months, and I was kind of at like a 5K, 6K a month. And it was I'd hit burnout. I'll be honest with you, I completely hated the business. I hated everything about it. I was working more hours than ever before, and I was just kind of completely lost in it. And I was so stuck on seeing what my Stripe account was saying each day. It was like, honestly, I was refreshing it every 10 minutes just to check if someone had paid something. And it was just so unhealthy. And it got to a point where I was like, right, what do I need to do? And I remember again speaking to Lee, and I was like, I need some blunt truth, mate. And I was like, I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. And he said, no offense. He was like, you do not have enough clients or enough revenue to be working that much. He was like, that's just you. What was it? He said, don't feed like a lion. No, don't graze like a cow, feed like a lion. And I was like, he's got a point. And then I started to slowly ease off on that and just focus on the main things is like if something was breaking, then fix it, as opposed to like sitting there all day being like, my clients need this 16-page PDF, which they're never going to read in 2 days, and just thinking about what they actually need as opposed to what I think they want. And so just listening to my clients really. And from that, since then, I've started taking holidays and rest, and it's kind of changed everything.
And what's the last piece of mindset advice that you would give for anyone right now listening?
Structure. Honestly, it's everything. Um, the team at AN will have probably gone like blue in the face the amount of times I was saying to them, "Oh, everything keeps overrunning. I can't get everything done in the right amount of time." But set deadlines and stick to them. If you don't finish the job, that's on you. You did a shit job. Just leave it and move on. And I think that the big thing for me is, as I say, with online coaching, because all of us care and because all of us are wanting the best for our clients and our business, spending 10 hours in front of a laptop doesn't actually mean you're working hard. You could just be sitting there thinking you're working hard. And so I tested myself last week. Gone.
Show me what you've done is a great question. Yeah.
What have I done?
No, just if you're sitting in front of a laptop,
Yeah.
show me what you've done or look at what you've done at the end of 10 hours. Does it reflect 10 hours of work? So
Yeah.
beautiful point.
It's and the big thing for me is that last week or the past 2 weeks, I went away for like 10 days and I set myself a challenge. I was like, I'm going to work 60 minutes a day. I'm not going to do anything else. And I'm not even going to say to my clients that I'm not getting back to them. Literally took one of these like little egg timers, set it 60 minutes a day. And when I came back, my revenue was up 20%. And I was like, it shows that I actually don't need to be here.
Any kind of resort, and we see an egg timer, like back Phil, it's yours.
Essentially.
Love it. Love it. So good. Um, it's Parkinson's law, right? You know, if you're going to sit and um, in front of a laptop and just say that you're going to work all day. My sound okay, Dave? Yeah.
It's a little bit muffly.
Hopefully you can hear me now. If you're going to sit in front of a laptop
That's better.
all day and say that you're going to work on your business, guess what? Nothing gets done. If you say that you're going to work between 10 and half 11 and you're going to finish this one or two or three things that are in your agenda, you're much more likely to do it when you give yourself a tight deadline and a timeline. Um, the very minute that you remove a deadline, you remove the urgency and you remove time, and then it gets parked. One of the greatest and most important skills every online coach must master is time management. And you can only do that when you have boundaries and set allocated times for doing things. So couldn't agree more. Structure, believing in your product, realizing that if you're working 10 hours a day in front of your laptop, you're probably not working, you're thinking about working, and overcoming the fear of money. Let's talk about getting clients, marketing. What have the three biggest things that have worked for you?
I'd say the biggest one, first of all, is just authenticity. Actually being authentic in who you are and not what you think Instagram wants you to be, if that makes sense.
So
Um,
unpack that for us as an actor. So
so
how do we
my
do
first thing when I started looking at online coaches is, I'll be completely honest, I was just cringing because I was like, every single video started with, "Hey, what are you gonna do?" And it was like, "Whoa, calm the fuck down." Like it's just a bench press. Like it's one of those things that once I started unpacking into just be honest, like in terms of just realizing that, if you're having a good day, if you're having a bad day, just being open about who you are, because people ultimately join your program based on what you are putting out there. People are going, all right, I relate to this guy. I can see what he's been up to. I relate to this lady, she's been working on this, as opposed to this bicep curl is going to change your life. Like, yeah, it might get you more hooks and more views, but it doesn't actually do anything. And so when I started, all of my content was just that cliche thing of like, this carb will destroy you and all this kind of stuff, just because I thought that would get me views. But the moment I switched it to just being like, I'll never forget the first reel that I ever had that I don't know hit, I don't know, 35K views or something, was just me. And I just, the open sentence was, being an actor is fucking shit. And I was just saying that like it's really tough. We get no's every single day. We get all this kind of stuff. The amount of people that reached out to me being like, "You get it," like I understand that. And I think just being able to be vulnerable and being open about it, rather than trying to fit what you think Instagram wants you to be.
What is the number one piece of content that's brought you the most amount of leads in your business ever? What did
Um,
you do? How is it structured?
so there was two of them. The first one was that one, being an actor is fucking shit, and the
Yeah.
second
So,
one
so, so,
was
so being an actor is fucking shit. What was then the body of the, what was the, like, so it was a big, like, this identity is shit. What was the body? And then what was the CTA and how did the
so
leads?
the body behind it was um basically within the performing world, your career, your life, everything about your daily structure is basically dictated by people on a panel. Everything you do is dictated about how you look, everything. Whereas the moment I felt that I could start to take back control was when I had things that I knew I could tick off each day to feel like I was winning in my personal life. And I said each day started to get easier, and those days started to compound. And then I was ending up with this confidence when I was walking in rooms. I was no longer thinking, I need this job. I was thinking, yeah, fuck it, I deserve this job. And
So
usually go
you
my way.
went against the system, talked about how you took back control and had some form of call to action in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What was the second piece of content?
The second piece was honestly a bit of a whim. It was a bit of a kind of random one. And I basically just put up a photo of me in a show and just said, are you the lead character in your actual life? Or are you in the ensemble? Which basically for people that may not know the performing world is basically, are you the person playing the tree at the back of the stage? Or are you the person at the front getting the applause?
Triangle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we've all been that person in the school play at the back, just like, and so for me, it was, I literally put that, are you the lead character in your life? And I literally wrote it in about 10 seconds, posted on Instagram, got like 10,000 likes. And I don't have a lot of followers. I have like 3,000 followers maybe on my business page.
Yeah.
And again, it was people being like, oh yeah, I'm just like, I'm not. I'm just kind of coasting. And I think that I'm the lead character in my life, but I'm not. I'm just somebody else's kind of like background actor.
One of the big pieces that we talked about in that personal brand piece just before this was about the from zero to hero and the attitudes and skill sets. And that kind of summarizes the whole thing about taking back control. What's another major marketing lesson that you've learned inside here that has really allowed you to fill your calendar?
Um, I would say if it doesn't land, just let it go. And what I mean by that is your content lasts for 24 hours, right? Anything you post within 24 hours, no one cares. It's been and gone, right? Unless it's something that you can keep referring back to. And I used to spend, God, I'd have on my to-do list at the start of each day, make content for tomorrow. And I'd sit there for 4 hours trying to piece together something really cool on Canva or some like really well thought out thing. And it you don't have to keep thinking about it. If you believe in it, post it. The worst thing that can happen, nothing happens. The next day you go again.
Yeah.
I think you can spend so much time just cycling over it and worrying.
I think a lot of coaches worry about this one shot wonder. They're expecting to like post something and their whole business transforms like literally with one post, which it can do in some cases, but they place so much importance on the one post and they neglect the little consistency every single day and realizing that, some of your best posts are going to be the ones that you're scared to post where you just literally write it, put the CTA, close your fucking eyes, post it and come back to it later.
Yeah. And that was the big thing for me is that I would spend hours on these little bits of content. And, you know, again, I remember saying to Lee, I was like, oh, when I first started, I had like 200 followers. And I was like, I've got 200 followers. I'm never going to be able to do this. And he's like, no offense, you've got two people from those 200 that are with you in the first month. He was like, there's 198 that could still be a part of your program. And it doesn't matter about the amount of followers or the amount of views, as long as you're hitting 1 to 10 people with each post and you're actually talking authentically, people are going to be like, yeah, I trust this person. And then they'll buy into that.
Yeah, shrink it down rather than trying to please the whole. Focus on like if anybody here got 10 new clients in a week, it would probably be one of your best weeks ever. Right. So very important. Anything else marketing wise that you want to share with us?
Um, a big one, Dave asked me a while ago to share a video on what it's like to talk on camera. And I think the big thing is bring energy and enthusiasm. Often, what happens with coaches is that we're great one on one. And as soon as a camera comes in front of us, we kind of suddenly are like, if you're looking to get fit this summer, this is what, and it can become quite boring. And my big thing is that when anybody's viewing your content, right, or anybody's watching your video or a post, they're likely to be sitting down. So if within that post they don't have the reaction to stand up and do something, then the post is pointless.
Mm.
So my big thing is how do you get someone from sitting down to standing up? Because loads of people be watching my content on the train, on the tube, or whatever, or even in bed, and it's more about how can you actually make them stand up as opposed to being like, this next bicep curl is going to change your life. Like a bicep curl is a bicep curl. It's more about what the lifestyle change you're giving them.
Love that. Let's talk about sales. What have been the most invaluable lessons that you've picked up inside here, and how have they led to more closes and more cash?
Sales calls for me have changed drastically from when I started. Um, God, I remember trying to sell plans for £400 for 12 weeks, and it felt like I was trying to get rid of bricks. It was like so hard. And it's funny that once you start to actually step away from actually trying to sell them a plan and actually talk more about them and like don't like sit in the uncomfortable in those silences, just sit and they'll open up more. Because what I used to find is that I'd ask them a question and then I'd just constantly try and talk and talk and talk and talk. And I realized at the end of the call, this person hasn't spoken at all. Like I've just chatted at them about how great my training lab is or whatever. And so it's more about asking those leading questions than just sitting. And I almost kind of play a game with it. Like, no, you talk first. Like, obviously, when they come on, don't just sit there in silence. But in terms of like actually just kind of letting them have a moment to open up, because even if they don't close right away, you've then given them the perspective to open up and they're more likely to close later because they'll be like, oh shit, no, he got it and he understands why that happened.
Love that. What's been the toughest objection that you've ever handled, and how did you deal with it?
Um, I had, I've had two or three. Um, the obviously the most common one is price. Oh, that's so much money. That's, I can't believe, and my price point isn't even that high. And if anybody ever says to me, oh, it's a lot of money, I'm like, oh, okay, well, the truth of it is that there's the financial implications of changing your life. It's an investment within you. And what I'd say is that, okay, say in 12 weeks you book your first acting job, you're going to make that back in a week. So surely that's worth it. Or would you rather be out of work? And all of them end up being like, fuck yeah, you've actually got a point. And what I usually flip around to say is just my favorite question, all of it is, okay, in 6 months, right? What happens if nothing's changed?
Mm.
Nothing. Are you still going to be that person at the pub complaining that you haven't got an audition or complaining that you're that out of work actor and you're just waiting for something to happen? I was like, you can keep waiting for the bus, but it's not going to turn up. You need to actually just like,
Want to add a little teaching point here. Notice the
yeah,
level of detail that Rory is going into about his niche, where they hang out, what they do to drown their sorrows. So just think about that for your own niche. What do people do to drown their sorrows? What are the typical self-sabotaging behaviors? Like, I'm an actor in London. I don't get a gig. The first thing that I do is go to the boozer, get a pint of KP peanut nuts or, bacon fries and a pint of fucking Stella and just sit and journal on a napkin, right?
yeah, yeah. It's so funny because I always say, how do you find? There's a place in London called Soho House, and if you ever want to meet an out of work actor, they're all there. Just sitting there, kind of sharing one gin and tonic between three of them and being like, fuck, this industry is so shit. And my big thing is that we do everything to, especially within the performing world, it's all about showing like how amazing everything's going. And for me, it's like actually once you start to believe in yourself, the opportunities change drastically. Because otherwise, if
Mm.
for example, if you truly didn't believe in yourself, didn't have confidence, you turn up to these auditions with 10 people that are literally judging you based on your weight, your size, how you look, everything that's going on. And if you don't believe in yourself, they're going to see through it in about 10 seconds and just send you home. So it's more about how that can change your actual life.
Love that. How did you train self-belief?
Self-belief for me is actually showing up for yourself. And what I mean by that is, look, my program is we structure gym routines, we structure daily habits, all these different kind of stuff. But it's more about them knowing that each day they've done something to succeed. So rather than hoping that the day finishes successful, they've actually finished the day going, oh yeah, despite anything, I did that. And so it's given them a sense of a win a day. And I share with all my clients, okay, what's our win of the week? And if you don't have a win of the week, that's not because it's been an unlucky week. It's because you haven't done something to get the win. The win can be anything, but it's more the fact of I truly believe the big thing which I built Stay Strong about is momentum builds consistency. And once you start doing something, it's a little bit like Jenga, right? If you keep building it, it's going to keep going and then it's just going to tip in the right direction. And it's going to be like, right, great. Everything feels like it's starting to find its place. And all of you will know that when you first started in fitness or whatever your business is that you enjoy, that moment things started clicking training wise, or that moment you got that photo, that moment you got that PB or anything like that, you feel like euphoric. You feel like you could be like, I could take on the whole world. And my concept behind it is if you could bottle that and give it to someone, that is surely the greatest gift they'll ever get because they'll be like, fuck, I feel amazing. And it's not a materialistic thing, it's a mindset and an energy thing. And I found that the first day that we did the live action days, I remember going up and trying to, I mean, at that Nando's meal, I think people at the end of it were like, God, this guy doesn't shut the fuck up. But I was like trying to talk to everyone in Power Room, just be like, oh my God, how did you do this? This seems impossible. And all of them just gave off this like aura of like, yeah, just believe in what I do. And I was like, fuck, that's what I want to do. I want to believe in what I do. And from that, my clients now are, it's I'm not surprised when they're like, oh, I've booked a new job or I feel amazing. I'm like, yeah, that's because you've done the work. Like that's not me, that's you. You've just believed in the product that we've got going and you kind of built that consistency. And I think that that's kind of what's been working.
Love that. Let's talk about delivery. What do you do for clients? Like, how does the whole program look?
So the program as a whole, in terms of from the sales call perspective, as soon as they kind of go, right, let's go for it. I literally hit one button because again, I brought in someone to do automation, which has changed my life. And within that, they're straight away set up. They've got everything going. And within the first 14 days, they basically go through testing so we can actually see how their body moves. And I have a success coach that goes through all of their lifts to make sure that everything's safe. They then have daily habits, schedules for trying to go to bed, getting their steps in, all that kind of like basic essential stuff. And then within the first 7 days, I speak to them again because I find that if their first 14 days win, then the program wins. If we don't nail them within the first 14 days, they go. That's the kind of way that I see it. And so for me, once they're in with those 7 days, I then touch base with them. And then I have a head coach who does all of my programming and we can build it as niche or as tailored as you need. And then we have a success coach who's double checking all of that on the kind of back end. And then we have our weekly drop in. So we do that. We record it on our podcast. We did our first ever social on Sunday. So we're going to do socials kind of every 3 to 4 months. And then we're just opening up a Stay Strong Run Club as well, once a month in London around Hyde Park.
Right. So talk to me about the community element, because this is a big piece for everyone. Community and experiences. What do you do to bring all that together?
Well, at first, I completely overlooked it. And, I had a group chat and maybe there'd be one message a month in there. I'd be like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Like they're all in there. And then I started realizing that the more the community built, the longer they're going to stay because then they're a part of something. And it's that FOMO element. They're like, fuck, I don't want to miss out on this. I don't want to miss these people. And so what I started doing is I had kind of like a couple of checkpoints I put in per week. So on a Wednesday, I would share my legends of the week, and that would be our top 2 to 3 clients and share why they are succeeding. So everyone's a bit like, oh shit, why are they doing well? Why are they getting a shout out? And those people tended to be kind of like really engaged and they start to kind of share their experience. Then I then asked them all to share a win of the week a couple of days later so they could all kind of share that. Um, and then basically I just started putting in there topics conversation. I even at some point started asking for help on stuff. I'm like, guys, I'm really stuck on this. What do you guys think? And then suddenly they'd all be like popping off asking different stuff. Or, I started saying to them, you're all actors. If you're at a theatre and you see something that other actors would benefit from, share it. So, they've started putting in, I now have like 4 clients in Australia and they're like, oh, if you're performing in Sydney, just let you know if you turn left outside of the theatre, this is there. And then suddenly it started kind of opening up and my clients on Broadway in New York were like, oh yeah, at the end of the street, if you turn right by Times Square, there's this. And it started building that momentum and people were like, oh right, there's a community that supports them. And now what's funny is I probably talk the least in that group. They're all always kind of going for each other.
So a couple of things that I like here. Number one, you've got some kind of run club. Number two, you're asking for clients for advice, which I love. And they're jumping in to help you. It shows vulnerability. It shows elements there. It's awesome. Um, and you've built some really strong sense of belonging. So that's pretty damn cool. Um, what's been your most like impactful thing about being in here? Like, what's been the most benefit to your business being inside Fitness Entrepreneur?
Um, I think for me, it's actually taking in what each of these kind of like meetings or these live action days is about. Because when I first started, I treated AN a little bit like a to-do list, right? I was like, how fast can I get through all of these trainings on the training lab? And I wasn't truly watching them, right? I was just like putting them on 1.5, being like, oh no, no, it'll go in, and then suddenly my business is gonna elevate. And it's more about I then started being like, right, I'm gonna do one training and then just go away and do something about it, as opposed to clicking through 10 trainings and go, oh, I did 3 hours of work on my business today and nothing changed. And from that, the live action days, there's been 2 points that really stood out to me. And the first one was, Phil, you said to me one of the first times, you're like, you need to figure out what your worth is. And I was like, what do you mean? And you're like, you find out what your hourly wage is. And I was like, oh, I got so confused by it. And you're like, if there is someone that can take that pressure away from you that you don't enjoy and is cheaper than your hourly rate, you are saving money. And I could not get my head around it because I've always been someone that if I see cash in front of my face, that's real, right? If it's outside of that, I don't see it. And from that, that's changed everything because all the jobs, programming, DMs on Instagram, all that kind of stuff that I used to just detest and spend hours trying to like take time doing, I found people that are better at it than me. And then I can elevate on the other stuff. And it's actually saving me money. And I'd say the other comment as well was what Lee said to me. In our last live action day with sales calls, he said, he was like, treat it like you're going to war. And I remember cringing, being like, oh, Lee, that's so cliche. Like, there's no chance. And he was so right because the truth of it is, and many of you might be like, oh my God, this sounds so cheesy, but sales calls you an opportunity to change some of these people's lives. And if you don't truly believe that's what you're selling, then your product isn't worth the money you're charging. Because ultimately, if what you're selling is just to get ripped in 60 days, no offense, you can find that anywhere. A squat is a squat, a bicep curl is a bicep curl. The big thing is that you have the opportunity to actually change these people's feelings about themselves, the energy they give off. And I think once I started treating each sales call like that, and I find that now, like, I only max out at 4 sales calls a day because I'm like, I should feel drained at the end of them because I'm like, there's so much energy. I'm kind of going into it like really kind of focused. I spend time before it making sure I've got every detail about this person. I know them inside out. That's what's changed it. Whereas before, I'm just going, oh, sales call in 2 minutes. Let me just quickly close Instagram, then quickly open up Zoom, and just kind of going there hoping that it was going to land. That's what's changed it. I'd say those two big moments for me, and also being around so many other coaches that are levels above me, and I can only hope to keep aspiring to get to their level. I'm like, yeah, what are they doing? Without sounding bad, what can I steal from them to add to my business to make it keep working?
Love that. What have you loved most about being in here?
I've loved most about the support behind it, because from going from coaching to online coaching, it can feel super lonely. And in a field that feels like it's only getting more saturated by the day, you can sometimes feel like you're just like a little bit lost at sea and you're like, oh God, it's hopeless. I'm just grinding away. And having the chance to be like, guys, what is this? Why is this happening? How can I do this? And then having like 4 or 5 people being like, mate, this is what's going on. Check out this. And being able to jump on calls and share that as opposed to just sitting with it. And I think it was when there was a men's corner a couple of months ago. I jumped on and I was having like a shit morning. I remember saying it, and literally like 5 other people on the call like, mate, I feel the exact same way. The exact same way. And I was like, fuck, great. It's not just my business that's broken. Like, and it was one of those things that it gives you that support and that knowledge to keep going. Because otherwise, I genuinely, I don't think I would have known how to have changed stuff. I'd have just keep going until I imploded and just wanted to shut the business down. So slowly I'm learning how to step away and look at it as a business as opposed to coaching.
Love that. What does the future hold for you?
Future for me, we're currently 71 clients. I want to be at 100 by September. The idea is I want Stage Strong to be the go-to for every single performer that comes into the industry. I don't want to be the biggest coaching business. I want to be the best coaching business, and that's the difference. For me, it's not about numbers. It's about when people look at it and they go like, fuck, those people are like doing well. And so, I've just booked my first trip to New York to meet all my clients on Broadway, because I was like, I want to make it a global thing that even at colleges, they're like, all right, if you're graduating, you should speak to Stay Strong because they're going to get you to where you need to be.
Love that. Love that. Guys, just unmute for a second and give Rory a big word of support. Big thank you. And that was
Well done, sir.
Yes,
Thank you, Rory.
Thank you. Thanks, Rory.
Absolute legend.
I love that. I don't want to be the biggest. I want to be the best. That was epic. What a high note. All right.